pledge will be led by the gentlewoman from Texas, Ms. Johnson.
I'm here this morning just to address education. How do we know? Because the people have told us so. We represent the ideal way to alleviate the shortages is by ensuring that children of all races and both genders receive the basic grounding in science and mathematics that will prepare them to pursue careers as scientists, engineers, and technologists. Is it not time, then, for America to grow morally? For those who fear to answer this question, I will answer it for them. The time is now.
Now more than ever, what happens in Washington impacts us here in the Dallas-Fort Worth area. Your Congresswoman, Eddie Bernice Johnson, will help you understand what goes on inside the federal government and share perspectives from today's leading policymakers and opinion leaders. And now, your Congresswoman, Eddie Bernice Johnson.
Hello, and welcome to the Capitol Report. I am very pleased to have our Mayor Tom Leppert, join me as a guest on this show today. Mayor Leppert has been the mayor of Dallas since June of 2007, and he's there just in time to work on that Trinity. He was accustomed to this type of work. He's been a business and community leader for many years. So I am delighted that he is here as the retired chairman and CEO of the Turner Corporation, which is an $8 billion construction company. What better experience could we ask for at a time when we are building the beauty of our city, the Trinity River, and those cable-trotter bridges? He's the former chairman of the Greater Dallas Chamber of Commerce and of the Dallas Committee on Foreign Relations, which is very important now since we have such a trade economy in the Dallas area. He graduated from Claremont McKenna College and received an MBA with distinction from Harvard Business School. That's the going word now, Harvard. Mayor Leppert, thank you so much for being here.
It's such a pleasure to be with you, Congresswoman.
Now, I know that anytime you're in Washington, you're taking care of Dallas business.
Absolutely.
So tell me a little bit about what you're working on now.
Well, really, there's two big pieces that touch on Washington that affect all of us in Dallas right now. That's the stimulus package, and you've been very influential in pushing the priorities that we have back home. And then the second one is the ongoing, and it's what you mentioned, and that's the Trinity River Corridor project. And that continues to take a lot of work, but we're seeing great progress, too.
What about recession? Has it interfered with many of our projects yet?
Well, again, I think everybody in this world is going to be affected one way or another by what's happening in the economy. I think we've been fortunate that we've been less affected, but we're not immune. We're starting to see it in a deteriorating tax base, the challenges that we have in the city of Dallas of putting a budget together, and it's going to be a lot more difficult this year. Again, I talk to mayors across the country and feel some good in the sense that other people seem to have greater challenges than we do, but we're being affected by what's happening in the economy.
Yes. Well, I know that there are areas with a lot greater challenge than what we have now, and I'm hoping that it is true that we're going to start seeing an end to this by the end of this year. I'm keeping my fingers crossed that that is a good prediction. And if that happens, we probably won't be experiencing as much of it as the Midwest and maybe California. But we have to keep working to make sure that we don't. And we do have a part of that recovery package, and we are very pleased about that. Are you pleased with what it might fund in Dallas?
Right now we are, and again, a lot of pieces are going to have to be determined in the next weeks and the next months. It would look that in terms of some grant money, probably between about $20 and $50 million would come to the city of Dallas. And we also expect to compete very aggressively for other programs. This morning, for instance, we were visiting with the administrators of the COPS program. That's a very important part of the city of Dallas, as it is with any city. Public safety has been the #1 priority.
That's right.
We've been very successful in adding police officers, and we've seen the results. Last year, probably the only large major city, the numbers aren't all in yet, large major city that had a double-digit decline in crime. So we were very aggressive in going in, meeting with them, conveying the success that we've had, but also the need that we have, too, of trying to get as many different officers, different monies that would provide different officers as we could through the COPS program that's part of the recovery package.
Yes, and you know, I have observed that when the economy begins to sag a little bit, crime tends to go up. So we are challenged to make sure we keep our record. And we have to do a number of things to keep our economy moving. As a matter of fact, I have a theory that until you invest, you're not going to get a return.
You're absolutely right, and let me tell you, you're preaching to the choir on that one.
Well, I know that we're looking at a convention hotel, and I think a number of our citizens might not understand that this is an essential investment in order to get a return.
Congresswoman, you're absolutely right. Now, I'm convinced with you that leaders really need to look not only today, but to make sure that we're making the decisions today that are going to ensure strong cities and strong countries long into the future. And that's exactly what this investment is all about. It has nothing to do with the building, but it's taking an industry that's nearly 10% of the economy of the city of Dallas, and one that unfortunately we didn't invest in, so we're not competitive. We're going to see, if we don't do something, additional expenditures that are going to go into that's going to affect us by having to subsidize convention centers and those sorts of things. We're going to see the tax base, something that's over $200 million of local taxes that supply teachers and policemen, those sorts of things. That'll deteriorate. And we look around the country, we've seen that all the major cities that we compete with have a convention center hotel. They're financing it exactly the way that we're going to be doing it.
Even in Texas.
Even in Texas. A great example of that is Houston. Houston made a good decision several years ago, and they've reaped the benefits. And in fact, 5-10 years ago, we clearly were at the top end of Houston on the convention and hospitality business. But that's no longer the case. And we've lost. Houston's won in that case, but we've lost.
And I think, too, that when we get this going, it's not just going to be the hotel, but it'll be good jobs for people.
Absolutely.
Good jobs to construct it and good jobs to keep it running. And so that makes a big difference. And it will increase our tax base a great deal because we have everything else pretty much in place. We've got good air transportation. We've got really good ground transportation, and we plan on getting some good rail. But we certainly have rapid rail around our city.
That's absolutely right. In fact, it's frustrating to hear sometimes people say, well, the reason we shouldn't invest is Dallas can't be successful. Well, it certainly can. Better price points than those other cities that we just talked about. We've got a downtown that has new life and new investment, finest arts district. And what also people forget is 5-10 years ago, we were in the top 5. We've already been there. We've been successful. We just didn't invest. We've seen our position decline. We can't continue to have that happen.
That's true. And you know, we've got so much to offer in Dallas when we can get the people coming in. And I look at other cities and I feel that we have so much more because we do have that wonderful arts center. We have great shopping. And the hotels that we have are good hotels. It's just that they're not in the right spot right now. And people will choose a convention site based upon their convenience. And we have DART that runs through that convention center, which we were able to do. And we've got everything else in place. That's the missing point, and hopefully we can get that done.
It really is. And again, we'll have a vote on May 9th. It's important for everybody to go to the ballot. There'll be 2 referendums. Both are pushed by special interest groups. Both are designed to handcuff the city of Dallas. That we can't have happen. So it's important that everybody goes out on May 9th and votes no. Votes no to Proposition 1 and votes no to Proposition 2.
I'll try to help with that. We have an inland port that is now operating, but obviously not nearly as much as it could, what we'll have in the future. So how has that changed anything in Dallas?
Well, my optimism is as strong as it's ever been. Even with difficulties in the economy that we just talked about, there still continues to be an awful lot of activity, an awful lot of companies that are coming out there that are visiting, looking to the future, making investments there. And I think it's one of the great investments that we're going to have in the future. We've already seen hundreds of jobs have been created, even in the last couple of months with all the challenges. The city of Dallas has been instrumental in providing some incentives so some of that can happen. But it's ideally located. We've got one intermodal now with Union Pacific. I believe there'll be a second one that'll come very quickly with Burlington Northern. And it's very difficult any place in the nation to find 2 intermodals, 2 major rail lines, 5 major highways that come together. So again, it's an asset that we have. All we're trying to do is capitalize on that asset.